the Stanley Cup, mainly because I like the idea of Liam Kirk winning the Stanley Cup. Alright, Jonathan, here is your hypothetical question. We've been talking about money, and I think that's a really fascinating aspect of the sport. Different clubs are trying to reduce costs and all the rest of it. And it got me thinking, how expensive would a ticket have to be for it to guarantee an arena would be played with nobody in it?
Or completely empty, a paid attendance of 0.
A paid attendance of 0. How much would a ticket have to be to create a paid attendance of 0?
Tell you what, you're getting a lot of people signing up to sell 50-50 tickets that week.
Yeah.
Just to get into the game for nothing. Oh, right, okay. Does the game mean anything? Is this just a middle of the season, regular season game? Or are we talking how expensive the playoff final ticket's got to be?
I think there are two answers here, aren't there? There's the must-see game and the don't mind if I don't see game, isn't there? Let's answer the must-see question. Let's say it's the must-see game of the year, but it's still a league game. You know, it's an important but not crucial league game. It won't decide the league. But it has a big impact on the league. It could decide the league.
Okay, so I'm just sort of going back to, those sort of games that I've seen in the past. So I'm guessing you're going to discount Sheffield playing Cardiff on the last Saturday of the season in 2015.
Yeah.
Because that was the decider.
Yeah.
It's got to be a bit before that. Okay.
I think so.
Right. We've actually sort of got a sort of potential case study here.
Okay.
In that if you go back to the 2010-11 season, early in March, Sheffield played Belfast at Ice Sheffield.
Right.
And Ice Sheffield, I think, was a pretty much sold out.
Because it was an important game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because that was a must-win game in order to make sure that the Steelers stayed ahead of the Giants.
Yeah.
So, thinking about it then, you'd be saying, well, are you going to be able to put ticket prices above, way above the normal level for that game?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not sure that you're really going to be able to manage that somehow. That game did sell out.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that I personally would have paid double my ticket price. I don't think I'd have paid 30 quid that night.
You don't think so?
No, there's another league game to go. There's another 4 or 5 league games to go that year.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'd pay too much more.
But
maybe that was just my... Yeah, I mean, I'm working at the time, but I've not got a load of spare cash.
No.
I'm not a season ticket holder, so I have had to pay cash for this game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think if you put it to £30, I won't go. But plenty of people will.
Yeah.
You're not going to sell out.
Yeah.
But people are still going to pay it.
Mm-hmm.
If there's presuming no concessions, I don't think we're going to be able to pay more than... We're not going to be paying adult prices for kids' tickets or for senior tickets.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that once it reaches £50 to £100, people aren't going to go to just a regular normal game.
I don't think that gives you 0 attendance, because then you have the fans who will say, but I was there. To say that I was the one person. Because, I mean, okay, let's put it another way. Would you pay £150 to watch a private hockey game? For a game essentially being put on for your entertainment?
No, because one of the things that makes hockey great is the atmosphere, the camaraderie, and the noise.
Yeah, but this is a private viewing of a hockey team for 2 professional hockey teams for just the sum of £150. Are you telling me nobody would pay that?
Well, no, the problem is if 2 people pay it, it's no longer a private viewing.
Well, exactly. That's when one can take each side of the arena. But that's what I'm saying. That's my thing. I think to get a 0 attendance, I think you've got to go even higher than that.
Have you ever been to a hockey game on your own?
Twice. And actually, I made a really good friend at hockey owing to the fact that she used to go on her own. So she used to always go to hockey on her own. And I know plenty of fans who go to hockey on their own because they love the sport.
Okay. So, in order to be a paid attendance of nothing,
yeah,
you've got to remove all the people that don't mind the fact that they might be sitting on their own.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't bother them. So we've got to remove all of the individuals and we've got to remove all of the groups.
Yeah.
Have we also got to remove all the potential people who are sort of sponsors and maybe sort of running businesses and maybe have a little bit more spare cash? The sort of people who can, they have enough money to be able to afford to sponsor a player or sponsor a shirt.
Exactly. I mean, 150 quid for them in those cases. I mean, not all sponsors are loaded, but there are I think what there definitely is though is the market for a fan to say I was there and no one else was. I was the true super fan. And, again, let's put it another way. Let's say we're not at Ice Sheffield. Let's say we're in the arena, yeah? For this case, because obviously both me and you involved in the Sheffield franchise. We've got an 8,000-seater arena. You're the only fan. I mean, that would be weird. It would be very weird. But to say you were there, I think that's worth more than 150 quid. I mean, every insult you hurl at the referee is, it's only coming from one part of the stands. You could have a direct input in the game, in many ways. I think there is a possibility that you could go as high as £300 for just the novelty of it. Because somebody somebody will always pay to say that I was the one who paid.
That's certainly true, I think. You're starting to win me round here. I'm thinking to football, where you see stories of fans who haven't missed a game in 30 years.
Yeah.
I don't think there are many hockey fans who have a similar longevity when it comes to not missing a game.
Yeah.
Because I'm talking about home and away. Because there are some away trips that are just too inconvenient to make.
Yeah.
But there might be some that have been to every home game in the existence of the franchise or have been to every game for a decade or more.
Yeah.
Once you start threatening them with, you're going to miss a game, you're going to lose your perfect record.
Yeah.
Then you start to give someone extra reason to attend a game that otherwise has no real meaning.
Yep.
Because it has personal meaning to them and their streak.
And that's it. And that's why I think, I mean, obviously, this being a hypothetical, imagine if a club was to charge £300 a ticket. It would be absolutely insane. Everybody would boycott. But I think even when you had a boycott, you would still have people wanting to just be there, to say that they were the fan that they're. Or you even would have some fans, and this is true for every single franchise, I think, in the Elite League. The idea of, support the club through thick and thin, show the boys that we care, all the rest of it. And again, I think to have that match night program, because you're the only person who got it, I think that would be such a tempter for someone to go and say, oh, I once saw a hockey game at the arena and I was the only one that paid, or me and 10 other people. I mean, one of mine and yours best shared experiences of a hockey game was when we were one of 8 Steelers fans to go see the Vipers versus the Steelers up at Whitley Bay because the weather was horrendous and everybody was like, don't do it. That's one of our best memories because of the exclusivity of it, to say that we were there. And that was a meaningless game. I think it was 4th v 7th. It was really...
Oh, we were poor that year.
Yeah. So it meant nothing. And we knew we would probably be the only ones going all the way up when there was a storm, scheduled and all the rest of it. And that is the reason we went. Because we were like, well, come, let's be that fan today, you know.
But that was because we were battling through the elements. I feel more confident in my ability to drive in snow than I do in my ability to have £100 spare in my bank account.
Completely. But as you would say, if it matters, you find the money.
Yes. I'm not sure hockey matters that much to enough people.
You don't need enough
that
people.
If the prices get into three figures, I think we're really going to struggle.
I think you're going to struggle, but you're using the term there, enough people. I don't need enough people. I need people.
Yeah. It's a good one, this.
Yeah.
Right, can I just sort of flip it on its head for a sec then?
Go on then.
The Sheffield Steelers are doing their £5 games. So when they're not on the season ticket, every ticket's a £5.
Yep.
And you're selling 7,000 or 8,000 of them for a weekend game.
Makes sense.
So you're bringing in £35,000 to £40,000 in ticket sales. If the Steelers set the ticket prices at £40,000, if one person turns up, that's good business.
Yes.
Now, obviously, there's a lot of customer satisfaction that's going to disappear. But you know, if you're in a finance class and you're drawing the supply and demand graph, well, it's going to cross over at some point.
Yeah.
Where is it? Is it one fan paying, you know, a 5-figure sum? Because if the Steelers have, you know, fans that do that, you know, if someone was prepared to pay $100,000 for a ticket, could we all just agree to not go to that midweek £5 game? Let that one person pay $100,000 and the club's actually making money from it.
Yeah.
We'll just all agree to buy the webcast that night.
Well, I mean, the reason I think it's about how important it is. I mean, that's the other thing, is the availability of the game. Let's say the game was being played in the dark, so like you couldn't buy a webcast. I think that would be a key point. And I think if you were selling your ticket at a couple of hundred, I don't think you'd sell a webcast. But here's the other thing. I remember me and my wife, we went over to Indiana to see her family. And I've never seen an NHL game before. It's big on my bucket list to go and do. And the Ducks were playing the Blackhawks. And they lived an hour away from Chicago. But it was in the playoffs. And because I'm me, I had to Google it. I had to Google how much it was going to cost. And turns out it would have cost $600 each, and we wouldn't have been able to sit anywhere near each other. So it was immediately a no. Do you see what I mean? To go. But lots of people had made the decision to go, you know, at that price point. And here's the thing. A couple of years now, and, you know, we're doing a little bit better off, and money isn't as tight as it was when we first went over. I'd be tempted simply to say I was at a playoff game. Do you see what I mean? That playoff game against those two. I mean, I'm glad I didn't go. They lost 5-1. But, you know, that's why I think even if, okay, that mattered. It was a playoff game. It was important. And that moved it into nearly 4 figures. So I think if it's not important, I think you can still have it in that kind of ballpark for somebody to say, I was there.
I'm going to throw a couple of games at you.
Okay.
From Sheffield Steelers' recent history.
Okay.
So go back to the 2014-15 season.
Okay.
And there are 3 home league games to go. 5 league games in total. Mm-hmm. Sheffield and Cardiff are fighting for that league title. They play each other 3 times in the final 5 games. These are the games that will decide who becomes champion. Wednesday night, Steelers versus Devils at the arena.
Yeah.
2,711 fans.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even pay regular prices for that game.
Well, I think the issue about that game was you could see the sequel mere days after. So don't worry about it so much.
You had just had the Challenge Cup a few days before, I should point that out.
Yeah.
But even so, this was a massive game. The fact the Steelers won it is the reason they won the title.
Yep.
It was up for grabs on the final Saturday because the Steelers had won on that Wednesday night.
Yep.
I'll throw you another game from the following season. Challenge Cup semi-final, Steelers versus Panthers.
Yep.
It's over the road at Ice Sheffield, tickets are going to be very, very limited because of the smaller capacity. And the Steelers fans